Hey guys, welcome to ANX Gamecast, level 135. I'm Unbiased Ann, and I'm here with Genesis and Ray. How's it going, guys?
What up?
It's a day.
It is a day.
It is a day. But you know what? It's cooler today.
It is.
Yeah, as those of us who reside in Texas.
It's awful.
So it's been this hot, and we decided to get sick during the hottest times in recorded history of man.
Pretty much.
Not in man, but of the last century.
Recorded history of man.
In the
recorded history.
Fair enough. So going back, what, 120 years? 110 years?
Probably something like that, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely awful. But what are you excited to talk about?
Cold weather that's coming through.
I know. Oh my gosh.
That came through, and then it was still 95 degrees.
Which is still, what, 12 degrees lower?
I know. But Tuesday will be high of 80. Woo woo.
Let me see. I'm excited to. I think I'm excited to talk about the same thing. I'm always excited. The conversation piece. Barbie is part of our conversation piece.
As we look at the Flash on the screen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're reviewing the Flash, but
true.
I'm excited to talk about Barbie. What are you excited to talk about?
I think I'm excited to disappoint you on the fact that I didn't love a DC movie.
That won't disappoint me.
Yeah, well.
I mean, you've been living in fantasy world for the past 10 years, so.
Unbiased Dan.
I'm excited to talk about The Flash.
So the Flash. Oh, there's that cough.
I know.
So, let me see. Inside joke here. So, y'all haven't done y'all podcast in 2 months. We hadn't done our podcast in 2 months.
Yep.
But we had COVID.
We had life.
Nah.
Sorry.
COVID.
Like there is ours wasn't COVID. In fact, although ironically enough, my son ended up catching it.
Oh, really?
He
like
did.
Recently?
Yeah. Well, not like I shouldn't be here recently, but during that 2-month span,
Yeah.
he ended up catching it, and thankfully did not. If he did pass it, none of us felt it.
Did he have a hard time, or it was easy for nothing?
No, it was like about 2 days, and he was done.
Nice.
So, but that's the excellence of youth.
Yeah.
Being able to go through that crap.
That's the
quicker than we
youth.
can.
Well, I don't know. I met this old lady at Walgreens, and she was like, "Yeah, my husband and I had it, and we didn't even know." And I'm like, "How nice."
Well, I think it's the youth, and I think it's also has something to do with the amount of virus that you take in when you contract it.
Yeah,
That's true.
So
He did fill out the clipboard, and he put on there light COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So
mild case.
mild COVID.
Yes,
and that's what
yes.
he did.
So that's good. We're all good.
Yeah, we're all free.
We're all good, right?
Yes.
We've done this season's main event. So
Except I've been coughing for 6 weeks, so I may cough on this podcast. I'll try not to.
Don't do it.
It's fading away, but
If you do it, I'm gonna stop it and we're gonna start over.
oh god.
So anyway, what is this? We have something here, something we normally do on the ANX weekly update, which we haven't done in like 3 years. So let's just go ahead and do it here. What you got?
do it.
What you got? I ordered something for Ray.
Dude, like, love the storyline for this. So when they came out with the Last Ronin pop for the Turtles, man, had to jump on that, man. And you're my pop hookup.
Yeah, I sent it to him immediately when I saw it. And not only is it, I wish they would do a better job of this. So it's a PX previews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that means. But this one was specifically limited. I don't remember the quantity. I told you when it happened, and it was really hard to get. So I'm expecting this one to kind of go up in value.
You know what? For me, it's something that's going to go up on my shelf.
Yeah. So if y'all want to know anything about The Last Ronin, go check out the last year's worth of Vagabond Nerds
You know what?
podcast.
Here's a problem. The Last Ronin is only now really picking up steam, I feel, because the video game's being done in about the next 2 years, which it already, looks promising.
Well, I think
sounds
I was
promising.
hearing rumblings about the comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you got the movie, then start a movie, and then you got, they're gonna make this, and so it's
out there.
They're pushing.
They're on the second volume with the talks of about doing a third volume. So we'll see how that goes. Either way, I couldn't pass up the figure. I actually have a NECA or whatever. I also have a action figure of the Last Ronin as well.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
gonna go beside it.
Right next to it.
This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I don't want to spoil it for anyone if someone hasn't read it, but it's a great feature tale where there's only one turtle left,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of dwell
Sounds like Logan.
very much so.
And you like Logan.
There are dead brothers, dead dead masters, and it's just
Did-
about
did
how
Prof-
that person deals with it.
Did Professor X kill those other brothers?
No, not this time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was an alternate timeline that the Flash.
He killed everybody. Professor X killed everybody.
He did kill everyone.
Oof. Anyway, y'all ready to get into round one?
Yes.
Let's
go.
Round 1.
Oh, I think that worked.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah. So people don't know what we're talking about because I'm gonna do the editing. But yeah, we just had some major technical issues. But I think I can smooth it out. I hope I can smooth it out. Anyway, time for round one. Time to talk about the anime that we're currently watching. What is this? Look at this. It's trippy.
What is that?
I like it. What is it? What are you watching?
I'm watching. Well, I finished, I should say. Last time we talked, I was watching Kakegurui.
Okay.
Hard for me to say.
Okay.
And I finished that up. But then, just like everything does nowadays, I watch Kakegurui Twins, and it's actually a prequel.
Oh.
And this one actually follows around Mary Saotome, who was also in the first one, but she was a little bit older. So this is, like I said before, this is a school-based, so you would like it.
I was going to say, yeah.
Where everybody gambles to make decisions and gambles just to gamble and gambles to, determine life, right? Because you could die, right?
Yep.
But when the main character of the first season, she showed up as year one, right? She was going against other seasoned students, right? People second years, third year, fourth year, people who've been class president, dealt with the politics of it all. So this one, she's not in it, but it goes back, and it's just really cool to see the younger versions of those characters, even though it's only like 1 or 2 years, and just being able to introduce new characters because those characters are probably graduated by now, right? So I like this one. It's more cohesive. It's more of a show because it's more established. The regular Kakegurui is cool. I liked it. It's not like my favorite anime, but it reminded me more of Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 1. Thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is he was the king of games. The card game is what took off and became popular, but Yugi himself is good at all games. So when they first started the manga in the first season, they would actually play different games. And the show was more about that, and the manga was more about that, but the card game caught on. So if it's something to do with a board game or dice game or a card game, he was good at it. So that first season reminded me more about that. It was more about the main character and the uniqueness of the games that they were playing.
So if I go and I watch this as a prequel, would you recommend I watch it first, or would you recommend that I watch the original first?
I don't know, whatever you prefer. What did you do with Star Wars?
Oh, that's not a fair question because Star Wars, because I was old enough, I'll say it,
old enough
to watch.
I like the way you see how he phrased it. I was old enough
to watch, not in the theaters, but I was able to watch the original trilogy before the prequels were even a thought.
Well, I'll just ask you the same question. What would you recommend people do with Star Wars?
Oh, watch the originals and then go back and watch the prequels. That would be me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessary to watch this prequel first because I think they do a better job of setting up the whole universe in the normal show. When they do the prequel, they do less of the Dragon Ball Super, which is I'm going to explain everything all over again because Dragon Ball Z has been gone for 10 years. And it's just like, please don't. Please don't. Like,
so this is more character focused then.
Yeah. This one's more character focused with like one game that might last a few episodes, and it's more about the looming results and then the characters versus a new game every episode.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I like this one. I feel like it was shorter, so I want more, but I think I like it better than the original series, and I'm hoping they come out with season 3 of Kakegurui, the main part of the show. And yes, it is on Netflix.
There you go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it just is what it is.
Not a Crunchyroll.
No, I don't do Crunchy.
But not Funimation.
Not Funimation. Yeah, a lot just inside.
Yeah.
A lot of otakus make fun of the Netflix series anime. Not the ones that they bought, but the ones that they make, the ones that they produce. Yeah,
yeah.
They tend to be. I don't know what the word is. They're not necessarily otaku level animes. It seems like something that was produced and created specifically for Americans.
Oh, okay.
It is an anime. It's created by Japanese people. It's produced by Netflix, but it's the storylines and the characters and all that is geared more towards Americans, specifically the Americans who probably are not anime fans.
So maybe not as authentic feeling.
Yeah,
I get that.
yeah.
I get that.
Who's next?
Unbiased Dan.
What you got?
I am still watching Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball
Z.
Zeta.
So we got into the Garlic Jr. saga.
Spice Boys.
Spice Boys. Yep.
That's what he said.
Man,
Yeah.
I want some Italian food.
I wonder what they were referred to in Japan, because when this came out, which I believe was in 91, there was no Spice Girls.
Yeah.
So, but when it was dubbed, which was probably 98, 99, maybe,
Yeah, that would have been about 6 years, 7 years.
Spice Girls were a thing. They were a little bit popular.
Yeah.
Some people had heard of them.
For a bit.
So anyway,
So let's see what's happening here. So everybody is at Kame's house.
Kame's house?
No, I'm sorry. Not Kame's house.
Kame house?
The Kame house.
Because that is a thing.
Yes. Why am I forgetting? What's his guy?
His name is Kame.
No, the old guy though.
It's Kame.
No, the old white man.
Oh, racial.
What?
Dang.
Is this what type of show this is now?
You
I did
know
not know that. Are we
Real.
supposed to be doing racist stuff? I
Yeah,
don't want to do
we're trying
racist
to get
stuff.
picked up. We're trying to get picked up by political,
What's his
so.
name?
I don't know. And you just got canceled. I can't tell you.
the old white man.
Yes, whose house they're at? They're hanging out at the beach.
Master Roshi?
Master Roshi.
Yeah.
They're all at Master Roshi.
So yes, that is Kame house.
Okay. So anyway, they're all hanging out. Everybody's back together, except Goku's still missing. I can't remember where he went, but he's not there. So let's see. Krillin has a girlfriend now, who to me looks just like Bulma.
Yeah, she does.
It's her hair is literally like one shade off to make it look different. But anyway, so Garlic. This is what I'm remembering here. So Garlic Jr. shows up with some sort of water or something. He, like, turns people into like zombies or something.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like brainwashed vampires,
Yeah. Now,
but they kind of move around like zombies.
yeah.
Vamp.
Because they like
Zombies?
bite people, but they're kind of catatonic like zombies. If I,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Vombies. That's the new name.
There you go.
They'll bite you. They got
Zombies.
red eyes.
Zombies.
Vombies.
But they're walking around during the day, so it's like Blade. I guess they're a bunch of blades.
Bunch of Vombies Daywalker.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
let me think about this. So everybody gets affected by this Blackwater mist, I think it's called, except Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo.
Okay.
Because, well, no, I'm sorry, Piccolo does get affected, but weren't they underwater or something? That's why Gohan and Krillin.
Yeah,
maybe.
Gohan and Krillin didn't get affected. They happened to be under the water.
Yeah, they were under the water. So anyway, they go off and there's like this big old fight, and I'm trying to think. Garlic Jr. put Kami and Mr. Popo in a bottle or something to trap them.
Genie in a
Jim,
bottle.
Don't beat me to the punchline.
Yep.
Too slow.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's got
That's
them.
what happens when you saw original Star Wars in theater.
Yep. So he's got them trapped, and anyway, they
You're
start
fired.
they start fighting, and Kami and
Like that.
sorry, yes,
Ah, she coughed. Restart it.
I know. Okay, I'm making this so long. So the whole time it's a little unnerving because Piccolo is under the spell, but then all of a sudden you realize he pulled a fast one on him and he's not really affected. He was just playing all along, but he was beating up Gohan for a little while, trying to play into the
Beating
role.
The crap out of Gohan.
Yeah, trying to play into it, and then like at the right moment he's like, "Ha ha, gotcha," I wasn't really affected. I was pretending.
So they were waiting on the right time to catch him off guard, right?
Yeah.
Because the bad guy was thinking, oh, Piccolo's fighting for me. So as soon as he let his guard down, it's like, okay, now we can do our gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yep.
You know.
So that's a pretty fast summary, but that's
Well,
where I started.
the Garlic Jr. saga in general is kind of short.
Yeah.
I don't remember how many episodes, 8 episodes, something real
Yeah, but
short.
you always need garlic.
Yeah.
There's never not enough garlic. In something.
I don't know. She'd be cooking some
yeah,
stuff.
one time I cooked something for him. He was like, "Whoa."
Whoa.
Did you find the garlic limit?
This is a little garlicky.
Yeah. All right.
So how are you liking the Garlic Jr. saga? Because I feel like you were about to stall Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I do like that it's moving faster. So I am not a typical person. I guess I'm not the right audience for Dragon Ball Z because I don't like how long the fights are. I just think they're ridiculously drawn out. But but people who really like Dragon Ball Z love the fighting. Like that's what they love about the show, right? Because that's what it is.
It's a combination of things. It's not just the fighting, because a lot of the times during the fight, no one's fighting. It was, and it took me a while to figure this out as well. It's Dragon Ball Z is less about. It's more about the fighting than the stuff that you like, right?
I like the filler.
The filler and the character and the character in action. It's more about fighting than that. But the real thing about it is kind of telling story and the character development through the fighting and what the fighting actually means. Bleach, you will probably enjoy Bleach a little more because when they're standing there not fighting, they're actually talking to each other and they're articulating their feelings and emotions about what's happening. Yeah. They're talking to each other. Dragon Ball Z, it's like we're not talking, but all of a sudden I see my best friend die and I lose my mind. Right. And then I turn into a Super Saiyan. So that whole scene, there's not any fighting, right? The Frieza came back, killed Krillin, Goku lost his mind. There was no fighting, but there was a lot of character development and growth, and you can understand it. So when you see it through those lenses, a lot of the stuff makes more sense. Spoiler alert, there was a new Dragon Ball movie that came out more recently. And I don't even like Gohan, but when he did Piccolo's move, the special beam cannon, to save Piccolo and everybody else, I was like, oh, that's dope.
It's good callback.
Because of the history of Gohan and Piccolo basically raised him. One move to save the world, you would think Gohan would do something of his dad's. Right. And it's like, no, I did Piccolo's instead. His
other dad.
Right. So it's that kind of stuff that the meaning of the show comes from the fighting. But the fighting itself is cool sometimes, but it is drawn out.
It is so drawn out. It's like 50 episodes of one fight. It's like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to get through this?
Oh my God.
Pity.
So now that you're almost at the end of Garlic Jr., right?
Yep.
So far, you've been through what, 5 sagas, I think. Who's your favorite? Not taking into account that you've seen Super. Who's your favorite good guy so far in Dragon Ball Z? From what you've seen, just from Z.
Probably Piccolo.
Yeah, he was my favorite at this point too.
Yeah.
What about the bad guy?
I guess Frieza.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good at being a bad guy. Like, he's annoying.
Yeah.
He's like, I want you to go in your little cocoon whenever that's going to happen. I know I'm jumping ahead, but I'm just saying.
Ahead.
I'm just saying. He plays that good role he plays that bad role good.
You like to hate him.
I like to hate him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. One last person. Who's it? What is this? I can't read the kanji.
A little bit of Demon Slayer right there. It's a little hee the main villain.
What's going on in the world of Demon Slayer?
Finally finished the latest arc. And granted, I finished it, I don't know, a couple months back. Sound about right?
We've been gone now.
Sound about right.
We've been coughing. We have coughing.
I know. No, I don't want you to coughin'.
You ain't heard me cough one time. Yeah, just saying.
Twice. Just not here. Did you turn your head when you coughed?
You stay out of my pants, man.
Hey. It was good, man. I like this last arc for Demon Slayer. We finished it, and I say we, me and my son.
Shout out.
One of the things I'm really liking about the director version that we were just talking about, the fact that you don't do Crunchyroll, but
No Crunchy.
we do because this comes out like a year before it hits Netflix. More importantly, I really learned not to like the voice actors for the dub on Netflix.
You're being brainwashed. You got hit with the Blackwater
I
Mist.
think I did. I like reading the subtitles, and the voices are to me much better. They're much more confined to the story, and they seem to flow better. So if I've got to do a little reading to do the understanding, I'm more than happy for it. But this arc was, with the exception of probably the first few episodes of the entire series, this has probably been my favorite arc.
Okay. So I can just skip the first 6 and just go straight.
You're not a fan of the.
I'm just saying, if I want to watch it,
If you wanted to pick this up,
just look at the last season and skip the first few episodes.
You could. Swordsmith Village is one that grew on me, and to your point, a lot of fighting in this one.
Oh, really?
A lot of fighting, but some of that exposition was done earlier through some of the earlier arcs, and we get to focus just on a few characters and a couple more. What is it, Hashiras in this one?
Is Michael Jackson gone?
He pops up, but he shifts. The body shifts a lot, so you don't see the he form.
Okay.
You're seeing a child form
Oh, okay.
on this time, and much more intense, much more creepier in that fact. Doesn't give a damn whether he's killing someone or not. Like, it's always been that for the character, but when you see him as Michael Jackson, it doesn't come off the same way as intimidating.
Just trying to,
Yeah, like, I mean,
like on Moonwalker.
pretty much. Jeez. But him in the child form, living as a child with a health condition who can't be in the sun, comes off much more menacing, especially when they're going through help quite often.
Speaking of that, going back in time, Garlic Jr. saga also, it's different because Gohan's a good guy, but I think this might be the first times where he's actually killed somebody. So those spice men, I don't spice, they're grown men, I don't know what, Spice Boys.
Yeah.
But I think that was the turning point because that's the first time he actually killed some people. And
Gotta do what you gotta do.
gotta do what you gotta do.
Save Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is you do meet a Hashira where he is, and if I'm butchering it, I don't care. But you meet one where he's very much nonchalant. It's very much about his role as being a demon slayer is much more important than anything that's around him. And through the course of the arc, you see him start to change and start to, figure out that, maybe caring isn't a bad thing. Maybe I should care more about.
Oh, I thought you said Karen. I'm like,
no one cares about Karen.
We're not doing Karens.
Unless you're a nice Karen. And that's just happened to be the name you got stuck with.
I will change it.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Are they still charged by the letter? Change your name anyway.
But it is a nice evolution of the character to see, for sure. So by the time this wraps up, it's it's a good feeling. Nice to see how it went. Looking forward to the next one.
Because we know you care about your feelings.
Yeah, I do, especially when they're not eloquently spoken in movies.
We changed my name, my handle, the last podcast we did.
What is it? What was it?
It's AKA I don't care about your feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't care about your Batman.
I don't care about any Batman. But anyway, y'all ready to get in the round two?
Yes.
Last time we were flowing and it was going good and then haywire. So let's see.
Round 2.
Oh, look, no computer issues.
Woohoo.
I want to read this. Can I read this?
You want to read it?
Unfortunately,
we
we need to discuss the difference between Barbie the movie and Avengers Endgame.
Unfortunately. There's a quote by, who's that?
It's Genesis.
It was somewhere in the Bible, man. I don't know.
Hey. Yeah.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, that's why. Go ahead.
Why?
So just what's been happening over the past, how long would you say? 5 years? 5 years in MCU specifically. I'm gonna stick with MCU.
Okay.
There's been a push to be more diverse. There's more inclusion.
I mean,
Right.
that's happening with a lot of stuff.
I think
though.
that's kind of
Right, but
all areas.
yeah,
But for
but
this purpose,
we're
okay.
we're talking about this because
Okay.
the MCU over the past 15 years or however long it's been around has probably been the most viewed thing as far as anything besides sports, right? Besides football,
I agree.
Okay.
right? So this is like way up there. So if you put in anything in there and you know, it's going to be highly visible,
Yep.
right? So starting, I don't want to say starting, but something that I remember got Black Panther kind of, I feel like kind of kicked it off. Like as a full blown, like, like we don't care. Like we're going to show a minority group in a major way and do a whole film about it.
Okay, I see where you're going. I don't
Right.
know if I agree 100% just because of how well it played. But I think I see where you're going. Go
Well, I
ahead.
mean, it was all black, not all black cast, but mostly all black cast, directors.
No, they had the token white guys.
Right, but the director,
You're not going to catch
they-
that quote, are you?
they filmed it, you know, I believe they filmed a lot of it at Tyler Perry Studio, so it's like
Okay.
it was a mostly all black production.
It was a push to show that
Yes.
diversity where it just, again, what if you've got a good script, it doesn't matter, as was the case in Black Panther, because everyone and their grandma went to go watch this movie.
Yeah, but they all didn't watch it because they thought it was going to be a good movie. You had grandmas watching it who never watched a superhero movie
Fair
before.
enough.
It had nothing to do with the script.
Fair enough, but it was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
Yep.
Like people were kind of losing their minds about it. Oh, it's the best movie ever made. That's when I had to like, let's pump the brakes.
Yeah.
So anyway, what happened after that? You had Captain Marvel, female lead, female friends, also with powers.
Yep.
Black girl with powers.
Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens.
And not my brethren from across the way.
And then you had Avengers Endgame. Obviously, more has happened since then, but I might touch on it. But Avengers Endgame happened. At the end, the big fight. First person comes through the portal to be brought back to life. Black Panther, right? Then there's a scene. There is a specific scene where all the women,
The A Force or the A Team, I think is what they refer
get
to it as,
together
something like
and they do their battle poses and they're ready to go out and whip some ass.
Yep.
And that scene in particular,
that. A lot of kickback from the fan base.
right, that they didn't like it. I don't like this. It felt forced. Why did they have to do that? To the point to where I actually had a person complain to me about this 2 weeks ago.
Because they just now saw
No,
a 6-year-old movie?
no,
We were just talking
just
about
talking
it.
about it. And you still complained about that 2-minute clip.
Which,
You
okay.
I mean, the movie was 3+ hours long, and
So-
this is a 2-minute clip.
So I would say this, not in defense or not in support of, I would say it simply like this. Could you say that it was probably felt a little forced in the storyline? Sure. Was it a kick-ass scene? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Like I didn't mind it. It didn't
I loved
take
it.
it didn't take me out of it, and my little girl loved it.
right.
She dug it.
But I'm glad you said take me out of it, because moving forward, that's what I kept hearing about other similar scenes moving forward in the MCU.
So did it take that person out of it? Is that what they're saying?
They didn't use those words, but I'm saying generally speaking, those are the words that I hear
Okay.
about that scene. About let's talk about Moon Knight, when the little girl, are you a black Egyptian superhero or whatever she said,
Yeah.
and she was like, yeah, I am. Forced, awkward, yes, and then people say, oh well, it took me out of it. Yo,
take me out of
it
it.
was a 20-second clip.
Yeah.
Yo, like, so I say that to say, it seems like everything that people have been bitching and complaining about as far as these small things in these large, long series and long movies, that is what Barbie is. And I know you haven't seen it. And I'm not saying this in a bad way, but Barbie is that the whole movie is
Pro women, basically.
pro women, like
It's based on a toy line that's made for girls or like-minded individuals that gear towards a female aptitude. Why would the movie be any different?
right. And I don't hear anybody complaining about that.
Certainly not at the box office. Things doing crazy numbers.
Because it's expected.
Yeah.
Right? I expected the movie to be that way. But people act like that 2-minute scene in Endgame. They act like the Endgame was Barbie.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I think that's insane.
And
I just can't believe that that's a thing 6 years later.
it's still a thing. People still complain about it.
Like, I don't know who that person is. They may be a very well-rounded individual, but to bitch about something that happened 6 years ago for 2 minutes in a 3 hour and 12-minute movie.
Regardless of 6 years ago, people were bitching about it when it happened, which was still ridiculous.
It's still ridiculous, but at least I get the time frame of being in line with the movie. Again, this is not something that took me out of a movie, and
It can be the most awkward situation ever, and it's still not going to take me out of the movie. If it took me out of the movie wasn't that good to begin with.
Well, and the whole thing is people want to feel represented. And if the people that I hear complaining about stuff like this are not people who had any trouble being represented in their life.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, so, you know, I look back, it's funny because I look back on movies that I grew up watching that I loved, and he'll watch it, and I didn't even notice literally the entire cast is white.
Yeah.
Everybody. And it's like, you just don't, that's not something that affected me because, I mean, I'm not trying to get on this soapbox, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody is excited about an Egyptian superhero or whatever, well, yeah, that's awesome because guess what? 99% of all superheroes growing up were probably white. And then men, you had one or two probably women. You would know better than I do. I didn't grow up with comic books.
You're the comic book
But I'm just saying.
No, you're not wrong.
Right. So it's like, if somebody feels better being represented, seeing themselves or somebody like them, that's awesome. It's not that big a deal.
We growing up, the only one I can really remember is probably Luke Cage, and that's.
And I don't even remember Luke Cage growing up. Honestly,
that's not a representation.
I don't feel like he was mainstream.
Mine. Yeah.
Right? He wasn't like mainstream.
No, and we didn't start really getting into, strong superhero representation. I mean, you could argue the death of Superman in the 90s, which brought about Steel, and not the goofy, Shaquille O'Neal movie, but, that was a good character. And you had Jon Stewart already kind of being established, but they weren't as prominent. As far as Hispanic, and I know I'm missing some, and I could go into some of the independent comic books, such as, El Gato Negro, which, was probably like kind of the first real one to kind of step up, but it wasn't by any means known. It was here and there.
Yeah.
I don't think you start really getting into it, and not trying to review this movie right now, because I'm sure this will be a podcast later. Exact reason why I loved Blue Beetle, and I, for the first time, didn't realize that, oh my gosh, I'm looking at an almost all Hispanic cast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this much, the director of that movie absolutely left stuff in just for us that wasn't translated on screen, that had us laughing in the theater, because no one else got the jokes. But if you knew some Spanish, you were going to be laughing because they're like, see, they didn't translate that crap. And it hits me. It's because it was meant for us. It wasn't meant for anybody else. If you got it, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But there was little things like that. So I say that because then it goes into Blue Beetle in the comic book. And that was really kind of the first time you start seeing, characters of Hispanic origin or anything like that. You go to Miles Morales, where you see, half African-American, half Hispanic kid. Actually, I think half Cuban, maybe, or Puerto Rican, one of those. But those are the things that, yeah, sure, if we've got a good character and it's written well. And this is the one thing I will say about, this about Jason, and he makes a valid point.
Well, depending on what you're about to say.
No.
Before I shout him out.
It's a very valid point. I rub up and have a harder time going up against when someone says, we want to change a character to be this particular race for, that's what's forced. Give me a brand new character with a great written origin and someone who we can back into.
Like who, though? Like what same character has changed race?
Well, as far as movies are concerned, where you start seeing, like, that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things amongst comic book fans is if they see a ancillary character or secondary character, well, they weren't black, they weren't Mexican, they weren't this. It's like, who cares really? But if it's a major character, I do think that that's like, hey, give me
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury.
Even though
that worked better.
Yeah, even though I think there might have even been a comic book out before, but generally speaking, where he was a black guy. Yeah, but generally speaking, for the 60 years before that,
he was white.
He was white.
Yeah.
Well, I only asked. The reason I ask is because I had someone, I don't know if you remember, just recently was trying to sarcastically make a comment about how they were changing Spider-Man because they were showing the guy that plays Miles Morales, and I was like, we talked about it because I was like, well, Miles Morales is a whole different person.
Right.
It's not
Peter Parker.
Right. Where he's not replacing
Well,
Peter Parker.
Well, I know same types of people are the ones who had a problem with the girl power scene in Endgame. Just to tie it back in, because what they saw was, they're going to try to make an all-girl Avengers coming up. And then, there's a female Thor now. And there's a female Iron Man now. And I don't like that.
My argument with that, though, is whenever someone comes up with that and goes, oh, look at this. Okay, so what have you been doing? Well, I've watched every MCU movie there's out there. Great. You read any of the books? Well, no. Okay, well, this is established.
Right.
And that's
a little different. Like, I feel like people who have history with the comic books, truly. Now, we've seen it, like a lot of people who grow up on comic books will come in and say, that's not how that character was. And I get it. That's not how you read him or her. But people who have the problem that have no history with comic books, you just have a problem just because it's women or it's minority or whatever. It's like, stop. Have no...
Well, and that goes to my next point, which is I will push back on Jason a little bit because, and I guess your point, because, you could let's make a whole new character. Let's not change Nick Fury, make him black. Let's get a new person to head up a team of whoever, right? If they're a minority, if they're a woman, if they're gay, it's not going to sell. No one's going to see that. You have to force the issue. You're gonna have to give people something that they want, and then make the subtle change. Within it, you're not gonna make a whole new unknown leader of a big group of mutants or whatever superheroes. But it's not going to sell. All these people, there's a lot of racist, bigoted people, and a lot of them, and it's not going to sell. And what's going to happen as soon as it doesn't sell? They're not going to make it anymore.
Yeah, but if it's not written well, if it's not good,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Does, and I'll tell you why. Because when you talk about Miles Morales,
in today's climate, it doesn't matter how it's written.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I will fully disagree, because when you had something like Miles Morales, when he first appeared and he came out, that was much more of even more so than now, that was much more of a difficult time to get a character like that out there. You're talking late 90s, early 2000s, where it was a higher percentage of not caring about that, but it was a well-written character that went forward.
It doesn't matter. And this is why it doesn't matter. People go out and bash movies that they have not seen. They don't know anything about. They have not watched it, and then that becomes the narrative. I talk to people all the time. Oh, did you see this movie? Yeah, I saw it. Oh, I heard it was bad. Heard from who? Like the internet. You say it spreads. Everybody keeps having this same opinion over and over. So it doesn't matter if it's written well, if it's a minority lead, if it's a woman lead.
But hold on. Are you saying, Ray, that Miles Morales was a new character and he's a minority and it did well because the story was written well?
Yeah. Because the character. Because
but when did this happen? And
again,
you're talking about comic books.
Yes, you are, because that's what you said. That's what you started off with saying about being written.
We're talking about movies, how the movies are written. It doesn't matter how good the script is.
Here's the thing. You're never going to be able to fight ignorance or stupidity.
So you're talking about creating a new comic book character.
I'm talking specifically on the comics we started with.
Comic books are dead, bro.
As far
I mean,
I think that's a lie too. If nothing else, they're there to establish and write the content that we're now viewing as movies. So there's always going to be that around. Now, granted, it's not as big as it was. You're certainly not putting up numbers like you did in the 90s where it was 1 million copies printed, sold, and whatever. You're not going to do that. Your highest selling one is probably at about 125,000, maybe even 200,000.
Well, I don't think he meant literally dead. It's just like
it's
audience that's watching these movies now.
Moving forward, I mean, there's not going to be this big breakthrough in comic books that changes the course of what MCU is doing.
I don't agree with that either, though.
I mean, it's just not. It's just not. Not
anytime
old stuff,
soon,
aren't
they?
No, they're not. They're using.
I mean,
look at Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. That is something that's pulled from these comics.
But that's also not MCU. So,
but even the MCU,
there's some side off thing. It's some side off thing that happened to work for Sony.
Thor 4 with the female Thor, with Jane becoming Thor. That was in the books in the early 2000s. So no, they're
early
still
2000 is over 20 years ago.
But you're still talking about stuff that's being pulled.
Right,
so it doesn't matter.
That's 2 decades ago.
There's still stuff that's being done now.
That's 2 decades
that
ago.
they will pull from there.
But just to be clear, what I was talking about, I'm talking about creating a new character in a movie.
Here's
not in a comic book. I'm talking about in a movie.
Here's the thing.
Instead of changing the race or whatever of a character, you create a new one.
I think
wouldn't work.
I think you would have establishment. I think you could establish a character in that way. At the end of the day,
wasn't that Miles Morales though? That was a brand new character.
No, he'd been around for decades.
Yeah, but a lot of the people that are watching it now don't know that, right?
Yeah, they do.
Because I didn't remember him.
No, I don't think that's a fair statement.
Even in Miles Morales was even in the Spider-Man game that came out 5 years ago.
No, we're talking about movies though.
I know, but the character was in a game that was wildly popular.
Okay,
but
5 years ago.
But that game came out after Into the Spider-Verse. Yes? Pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Miles Morales, as far as being in the game or whatever, was still, again, there's still a precedent for it. I guess
but still, it was an established character. He was not introduced for the first time ever in that movie.
I bet you for a lot of people he was.
I agree with that.
That's fine. But most of these characters were for a lot of people because they didn't read the comic books. But this was already an established thing. So you already knew what the reaction was to the character.
So you're talking about people who know stuff already?
No. I'm saying there's an audience, these comic book people, right? And there was a bigger audience when Miles Morales came out. They put him out. They know what the reaction is. 20 years later, whatever it was, they made a movie. It was not a brand new character created that no one had ever heard of before.
Okay,
for a lead in a movie.
But now
in a major movie.
But now you're contradicting what you had just said about it only being in the movie and the comics not really contributing to stuff. Because
I said the comics now. I'm not contradicting myself. The comics now are dead. They're not going to be a major factor.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Incorrect. Yeah, I won't agree with you on that. Just because the comics now are starting to lead to certain things that are coming down the line. Sure, it may take 5 years, but because you have to sit there and have the script written and the approval and everything else. So what's being written now can absolutely dictate what we get in the future.
I'm not saying it absolutely will not, but the bulk of your source material is not coming from something written 2 years ago.
I don't think anything is going to have something from 2 years ago. It doesn't just matter about that.
So when they put out the new X-Men movies in the MCU,
I hope they do something completely different.
It doesn't matter what you hope. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to pull something from an X-Men comic book from a year ago? Probably not.
They will do something that they've always done. They will pick and choose from the multiple comics that are out there. And if there's one that was well written and they have good ideas from it, they're going to utilize that, whether it was from 2 years ago or something from 20 years ago. Now,
and I'm not talking about just a piece from 2 years ago. I'm talking about you took something that was created 2 years ago in a comic book. You created a whole movie or series of movies about what was written 2 years ago. It's not going to happen.
Batman does that all the time in anything they do.
We're not even talking about Batman. We're not even talking about Detective Comics.
Let's look at the Flash.
They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Let's look at the Flash. The storyline for this didn't come from something that was 40 years back.
And you hated the movie and it flopped.
We haven't even gotten there yet.
So,
yeah, but
okay. So anyway, the point of this is, hey y'all, if you're that misogynistic, if you're that racist, if you're that bigoted, how about you just shut the hell up? I mean, if it's a 2-minute clip in a movie, and it bothers you that much, go away.
Yeah, but you
just
can
go live in the hills somewhere and go get away from people.
You can't wish for those people to disappear because those people have been here since the dawn of time.
Why can't I wish for them? Why can't I wish that they weren't
because
here?
it's not going to happen.
It doesn't matter. It's a wish.
Yeah, true.
I wish
You're
I won the
true.
lotto, but it didn't happen. I mean, that's the point of a wish.
I thought it did.
No.
I thought it did happen.
No.
We would not be here.
I don't. Well, we might.
You might.
I guess
It wouldn't change.
I guess it depends on how much we're talking.
I think I could win a big one, and I'd still be wanting to do stuff like this.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not saying that the location may not be different.
Right.
Right. We might be coming to you live from the Hawaii, whatever.
Rio.
Rio. Yeah. But yeah, I will also go on to say this. At the end of the day, these are fictional characters for people. If their race, gender, or other change, and I'm going to drop one here, who the fuck cares?
Yep.
They're fictional. Now, if you sit there and you tell me, like they were joking the other day that it took off as a viral thing, that someone joked that Tom Hanks was going to be playing Martin Luther King. Now, if that legitimately happened, I have problems. But when you're talking about characters that were just created and who cares? Like, they're fictional. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. You want your opinion, you're entitled to it. God bless. Go and do what you're going to do. But to your point earlier, at the end of the day, just how about keep it to yourself sometimes? Because maybe and hopefully the majority of us that are out there don't care.
Or think about why it's bothering you.
Yeah.
Because it's not that big of a deal.
Self-infliction is not important these days, and that's sad.
Yeah.
And then I think it's getting to a point, well, I don't want to say where there's less bigoted people than there are bigoted people. I don't want to say that. But the minority now has enough spending power to where it can keep some things afloat. And then all that happens when you keep bitching about stuff is that they make a She-Hulk. That's what happens.
Which I like She-Hulk.
And I'm not taking anything away from She-Hulk, but it's like,
Were you upset about that?
is She-Hulk created the way it was created, with the tone it was in which it was created in, if people hadn't been bitching? Probably not. Like, the ending would not have been that way at all.
Well, the ending was what made that series. I love the
ending was trash.
This is my thing. I wouldn't even consider myself a feminist. I don't even think about it. It doesn't even occur to me when I see a She-Hulk come out that, oh, they're trying to really represent women. I take it for what it is. Like, She-Hulk, they're doing She-Hulk.
Well, but She-Hulk was more Barbie than Endgame.
Well, I'm just saying.
It was like really, I feel like it was really truly more from a female's perspective.
I'm just saying,
it should have been.
It
was She-Hulk. That was the main character.
Right.
Right.
But would that have happened if people were not bitching about these scenes like this?
Oh.
Like, I feel like they were sticking it to them. Just like the ending. Like, I'm sticking it to you. Like, you want to keep bitching about the endings and you don't like our endings? Here it is. We're sticking it to you. The whole She-Hulk jabs, sticking it to you. Here it is. You don't like women power? Here's this.
I'll use one that's even more more current. Loved, and I didn't think I was gonna like it because I just wasn't looking forward to it. But I went to go see it.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh, okay.
No. Well, yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
Loved Miss Marvel.
Last Ronin?
No, not Last Ronin. Loved Miss Marvel, but I also loved The Little Mermaid.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And when people came out and started, oh my God, it's a black girl. I'm like, first off, beautifully done. Right, it's got a little bit of problems. I think it's a little too long, but it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Who cares that a cartoon character from the 90s is suddenly a different color when they get to the big screen and they change it?
Racist people.
Well, yeah, but so much like other groups, is it a very vocal minority, or is it a vocal majority? If it's a vocal majority, that's a problem. That is a problem because crap, no one's safe. But if it's a vocal minority, these are people who use platforms like this, right? Who are on podcasts, and they just want to sit there and they find like-minded individuals who hate the others, whoever they seem the others or they are, that just are not, they're not long for this world with that mentality.
I don't know if it's minority or majority, but it's certainly not people that I associate with.
There you go.
I didn't hear anybody complaining about it.
It was enough to make waves, It was enough where everybody knew people had a problem with it.
Now, I
You
think
see what I'm saying?
I don't think you can say everyone or everybody. I think
No, I'm saying you knew people had a problem
he's
with her
saying
being black.
everybody knew that somebody
Yeah,
had a
so
problem.
somebody knew somebody.
You knew that
Yeah, I
there
mean,
was
yes.
people had a problem with her being black.
But to Ann's point though, I did not know anyone personally. No one personally in my circle.
Yes, you did,
No, of course not. No, because even
bro. I read it. Yes, you do.
Somebody,
Who?
somebody.
No,
you know,
we're not gonna say who. We're not doing that.
that's an off the air conversation.
We're gonna
so
have
let me
that
know.
off the air. But yeah,
All right.
no, you definitely know somebody.
Now, I will say this though. I just want to say, because some people are super nostalgic, and they may not be. When that first was announced, I can see how some people. Because so Ariel came out when I was like 10, and I was obsessed with Ariel, obsessed. And it's a cartoon, but her voice was so beautiful. Whatever. So I can see how some people who maybe grew up with it were like, they have in their head how Ariel should be, not meaning for it to be a racist thing, but they're still holding on to how it was. You know what I mean? Now
Well,
they need to think about how that comes
Did that
off,
individual
but-
write something? I think I just realized who you're talking about.
Yeah,
and I
they did.
think that's more in line with what she's saying.
No, it was twisted in a way to try to make it in line with that, but it was some bullshit. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it
It was some bullshit.
Off.
But more to that point.
Now, we're just in round 2. Damn.
Yeah. No, we've been in round 2 for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
Woo.
It's like
But
how
it's
people.
it's a good topic though.
Right, no, it's a good
It's
topic.
a strong
it's,
topic.
It's very similar how people hold on to movies they grew up with, and they're like, "That was such a good movie."
So I'm glad you said that, because this is something that I asked Sean once when I was on y'all show. It was
Shout out.
It was a situation where who cares? Why do you care so much if they make a 4th season of the show and you thought it should stop at 3? Who cares if they make a Little Mermaid with a black Ariel? You don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
It doesn't change
But
movie. Like you see what I'm saying?
But
like,
you just said it right there. You don't have to, and you can fill in the blank. Watch it, listen to it, read it, do it,
Talk about it.
Talk about like you don't have to do any of that. And the problem is this is where I do feel the internet, especially on podcasting, has given people the ability to couch a bitch, and with no fear of repercussions. You had this conversation 25 years ago in a street at a bar somewhere. Watch what you say, because you're going to get the shit beat out of you, because you may press that thing. But people have no fear of that anymore because there's no real repercussions to them other than being canceled. But if you have enough of a backing and you're canceled, right? And I'm throwing quotes for those who are listening to us. But if you are canceled, then you have almost a bigger platform because people don't want to do that. And I don't disagree with having to shut up. I think you can talk all you want. Be prepared for the repercussions of what you're going to say, though. And there's no fear of that anymore. There isn't. From the on high to the bottom, no one fears the repercussions for shit that they talk. Now, if you're comfortable with it and you can talk about it in public, awesome. Then at least you aren't that way. But most don't.
But 9 times out of 10, they don't.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, podcasting, social media, good thing and bad thing, as we're seeing.
Yeah.
Right?
But that's why I think it's important for our little show here to at least have the conversation from this perspective.
Yeah.
Because if it's all one sided as far as like the negative and the homophobic and the whatever, it's just like that's what it's going to be.
We've talked about it before off air and had those plenty of discussions where I don't mind what you're going to say. I encourage people to have educated discussions with all sides, and you do not have to agree with that person. But maybe talking about it, if you can at least have them say, you know what? I never saw it that way. It's a good point. It starts to get them thinking, but not in such a way that we want to attack. Have a calm conversation about what you think.
Because I don't think, generally speaking, I'm just say racism, right? I don't think anybody, generally speaking, any racist person, white person, is going to listen to my black ass and change, right? But if they can listen, but if they do, that's great. But if they listen to me and just, I'm gonna drop another one, shut the fuck up, that is also helpful.
Well, I think it depends on what kind of racist person you're talking about, because a lot of people, when you say a racist person, a lot of people picture somebody who's like blatantly racist, saying the N-word, referring to minorities in a certain way. But there's a lot of people that have, what do we call it? they're racially insensitive.
Mhm.
They say things
Not knowing, because that's how they grew up.
right that it's
Mhm.
like that's racist what you just said. Maybe they're not blatantly they may but those are the people I think that are more inclined to listen, because even I went through that when we got together. There was a lot of stuff like that I was not exposed to that he was, that I had to understand, like, wow, maybe that level of thinking that I was ingrained in my brain as I grew up, not blatant stuff, okay? Like subtle stuff that you just don't realize until you sit down with somebody who was raised and had a life completely opposite of yours.
And it doesn't just have to be okay. So the one thing that I would stress, racism resides in all cultures, and I'm going to pick on mine, okay? Because the most racism I've ever had has not been from a different culture. It's been from my own, because I didn't speak Spanish. I didn't grow up in Mexico. I didn't listen to the same things that they were listening to. I had a bigger problem with other Hispanics growing up than I did anybody else.
But is that racism?
It is racism. Just because it's in your own culture and it's the same, that does not mean that racism doesn't exist. I will tell you right now, I know for a fact, in the Latin culture, you have Cubans that do not like Puerto Ricans. You have Hispanics that do not like Mexicans. You have Mexicans who do not like Salvadorians. Not even kidding. When I went to Costa Rica and I visited, one of my things is I jokingly said, "Hey, who cuts the grass here?" Right? Would I do that now? Probably not. Without hesitation, they named the exact people, and they're like, "Oh, that's, but it was still the same. It was the same background. They're still Latin."
So just a similar, but from my side of it, like if a black person tries to tell me that I'm not black enough because I'm biracial, like I've never looked at that as racism.
But it is a type of racism, because they don't see you as one of theirs. And I'm not saying that that's the case. I am saying that is what that represents within certain groups. So everyone has it.
Because I think just a general you just don't like a certain group of people for whatever reason, or a prejudice. Like, to me, that is actually lowering the word and the meaning of racism.
I don't think so.
It's bringing it down a few notches to just be on this surface level that they kind of teach. And I'm not bashing you, but I'm saying that they teach like elementary school. That's how they teach elementary school. This is when you don't like another group of people just because of this, and that's racism. It's like, it's way more deep and more deeper and complex than that.
But some people that are our age, my age, since you call me older, but that are my age, they need to have that conversation at that level, because that's how they understand it.
No, that's not untrue.
Yeah.
Like, you need to talk a
you
little bit,
start like a basic,
slow and low or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I would say though, and this is not for anyone to be like any one particular group to see, hey, I told you they don't even like it. No, because within that group too, I have absolutely met Caucasians who don't like Caucasians that have a certain background. Like,
that's more of like classism, right? What's the word?
No, we're not talking about a poverty level where you're sitting there and you're talking about wealth or anything like that. I'm talking just there to there. Like, it's just because they maybe they came from a more traditional, let's say, background from overseas. But at the end of the day, when they fill in that check line, and it says what race or what ethnicity you belong to, and you guys can all pick the same one, and they still hate each other. People, unfortunately, we've inherited this ability to hate one another. And when we add more differences, we just continue to hate. That's the one thing. We're talking about wishes. That's what I wish would stop. But
you can't wish for it, because it's not going to happen.
But I can, because I wish for the lottery.
Hey, wait, what was it? It's a classic. That's a super inside joke. Y'all don't know what the hell we're talking about.
But yeah, that's super inside. But you also have to, like, that's my thing. Is like, I don't want to just sit there and say, at the end of the day, hate is hate is hate. And I wish people would not hate, because then maybe everything else changes. So until we really fix that, and because we are naturally self-hating individuals, it's a harder task.
And
unfortunately,
social media makes it so much worse. People
100.
are so
I don't
hateful.
know. I like me some me. I'm just saying.
They're so hateful.
I like you some you too.
And then you got trolls who do it just to be funny, and
Just
it's like
to be
like it's what you're saying is hurtful, and you may not even think that, but you're just saying it.
I go out of my way not to respond to stuff that
Oh.
I see because I'm just like, why?
Well, I
Just
think
why
I think
would
and I
you?
think it's more hurtful not necessarily because the group that they're attacking sees it. It's more hurtful because you are slowly changing the perception in the minds of people who are reading it.
Yeah.
Like I had to have that conversation with somebody recently. Like, you think you're not hurting anybody by coming over here and saying negative things about a certain group, right?
Mhm.
You think you're not hurting anybody because it's just me and you talking.
Yeah.
But what if you change my mind? What if you slowly start changing my mind? Or I start regurgitating that mess to the next person. It changes their mind. And then what happens when they go shoot up the Dollar General?
Yeah. Which is one of those things where, like, when we end our show, vagabondnerds.com, just say, on Facebook, on YouTube. When we end our show, my whole thing is just be nice to each other, guys. Peace out. Be nice
And
to
I-
each
and I
other.
always-
We're all trying to get by. We're
Well,
all
yeah.
trying to keep
Well,
our head above
and I
water.
usually disagree.
No, don't be nice to each other.
Well, I mean, some people you shouldn't be nice to. We've had
Those-
that conversation
Yeah,
too.
we have.
We've
Yeah.
had that conversation.
And that's a difference of opinion, and that's okay. I respect your opinion on it. I don't have to agree with it, but I respect the
But
opinion.
you mean
of it.
more generally speaking, be kind.
Just be kind.
Right.
Yeah, be kind to each other.
Yeah, because if somebody's unkind to me, then
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
all
that's
bets are off.
that's a little
Yeah,
different.
that's when you're face to face with reality.
Right.
That becomes a different situation, and how you play into it becomes a different situation. And every choice that's going to be made is going to be made given towards that situation. Round 3.
So again, this was not a bash at the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that that's clear. The Barbie movie, what it was the message that it was given. I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I'm cool with.
I
Make another one, right?
I have a friend who has seen it 4 times now,
Yeah.
and just absolutely adores that
So
movie.
it's like, I'm cool with the message they were given. Make another 3 or 4. What I'm saying is that is not in game.
Yeah.
In game is not that. So if the next time you see a 2-minute clip or a 30-second clip that pisses you off because some minority group is being represented, even if it feels forced and it's corny and it's cringeworthy, just go watch Barbie and then come back and you probably won't care as much.
Probably
How about that? I'm trying to give solutions. Yeah. Next time that bothers you, go watch Barbie as a whole and then come back and then watch the show again and then tell me that you had a problem with that 20-second clip. That's all. That's my point.
Okay.
Man, that was a great round. Round 3. Like, I'm pumped.
Wait, are you done?
Yes.
Round 3.
Woo!
Okay.
Hey.
Now my prejudice and hate's going to come out.
It's been a while, so it's just it worked. It went to the right thing. All right. A movie came out many months ago. We were supposed to do it. We saw it in theater. We all saw it in the theater.
Yep, sure did.
We were supposed to do it then, and we didn't. But I still think it's relevant because it has been recently released on DVD and streaming on Max.
Now, streaming on Max was available for digital, I think, 4 weeks after it came out, was available on digital.
I have no clue. I feel like I got this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Well, what I've noticed is those are now still taking the same amount of time for release, but digital's, damn, it's almost instant nowadays.
Yeah. So I still think it's a relevant topic because it just came out recently and blah blah blah.
Sure.
First thing I will say.
Shoot.
First thing I'm gonna go ahead and say, because I feel like it has something to do with what we've kind of just been talking about, and I'm not saying this applies to you, but I saw the same thing with this movie that I saw with Eternals, Captain Marvel. I can keep going on and on. Shang-Chi is the only movie that caught a break because American culture is ingrained with martial arts and kung fu. They've been watching kung fu movies since the 70s. So when you see an all Asian cast doing kung fu, it's not foreign to them, even though it is very foreign, right? It's not foreign to them to see a group a full cast of Asian people doing martial arts and fighting each other. So that one got a pass.
Okay.
And it slid through. Eternals, the bashing of main characters being female, gay, black main characters, it happened. I saw it. Okay. Same thing is happening here with this movie because of the actor.
I still have no idea what y'all are talking about.
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
No, I mean,
And
whatever.
so that's why I'm giving this disclaimer. I went to this movie not knowing anything that happened with him
I still don't know.
outside of movies, right?
Yeah.
His personal life.
I haven't read
whatever
anything.
was that. He was in Hawaii or something. I have no clue.
Do you want to know?
We can talk about it, but
Okay.
but let me get the disclaimers out. I am just so we know, just so we are clear here. I am 100% for cancel culture or whatever the hell you want to call it. If you out there doing some bullshit, I do not want to support you. You know what we don't watch in this house? Seinfeld. Racism.
I didn't watch it because it wasn't funny.
Well, I don't know if it's funny because it was racist and I don't watch it. You know what I don't watch anymore, but I grew up watching? Roseanne. You can kick rocks, right? I'm all for it. So whatever he did, more than likely, I don't support, but I don't know. I can't keep up on everything. Now I say that to say, you will never hear me say something is bad just because the person did something bad. And I feel like that's what happened with The Flash. I'm not talking about your opinion. I'm saying, generally speaking, people automatically wrote this off as bad
100%.
because of the person in the movie. But you would never hear me say that. You would never hear me say a R. Kelly song is bad just because R. Kelly is bad. I will tell you I won't listen to it anymore. But I'm not going to say, oh, that song was garbage. Like, it's not garbage.
You
No,
think
he's insanely talented.
do you think a person should be forgiven if they have that true motive in their heart to actually go through the steps of redeeming themselves?
I'm gonna say forgiven. That's a weird kind of word.
I'm not saying forgotten,
No,
but would you forgive someone for their transgressions?
I will change it just a little bit. If I go to prison for something, maybe not nearly as bad as what R. Kelly is alleged of doing, right? When I come back, I won't have my job. I will never be able to go back and work in that place or any place like that. So when you say forgiven, I'm looking at that as when you get out of jail or whatever, you can go back and you can get millions of dollars on tour. You can keep working and you can keep doing all that.
That's not what I'm talking about. When I go to the term of forgiven, right? And I'm not saying that you have to partake anymore in the sales or distribution or anything of that person, right? Because you can sit there and say, I'm gonna always remember what they did, but I forgive you as a person. I'm not looking to do any more. I'm not going to go out of my way to listen or to participate in anything else you're doing, but I forgive you for what you've done. It's just, I'm not going to go that way. That person who has done their time or has, again, gone through the steps of, for lack of a better word, has repented of what they did, and they know what they did was wrong, and they are trying to actively make an effort to correct that. Is that something that you recognize?
I can support you in your quest to become better. So, for example, a lot of times, though, what those people will do would then turn their attention to charity work and putting their efforts into the cause.
Right.
I can support you in that, but I'm not gonna watch your shows.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay.
And now forgiving, like, that's a hard thing. There's nothing for me to forgive R. Kelly for because I don't know R. Kelly. Like, forgiveness for me comes from somebody that you know personally. That's why I said it was a little bit of a weird word for me. Like, if I don't know you,
there's nothing to forgive.
Right. Yeah.
It may offend you.
Yeah. It offends me what you did, and I'm not going to continue to line your pocket so you can keep doing it.
So
you see what I'm saying?
So rather than get into what was done by the individual, let's talk strictly movie.
So yeah. So like I said, I just wanted to put that. I just wanted to put that out there.
But you're right. You're right.
Like, if I knew back then what he had done, more than likely I would not have watched the movie.
So let me not say what was done. Right. We'll save that for a different time. From strictly the movie, I will sit there and say that the main actor, Ezra Miller, who did what he did outside of this, the acting that he did was superb. It was. I won't take that away.
All of the range in this movie.
The worst actor in this movie by far, Ron Livingston, who played his dad.
I don't look what Thanos say.
Office Space.
What did Thanos say? I don't even know who you are.
I don't even know who
you are. I don't know who you're talking about.
But he's actually a good actor. Just not in this movie.
We saw him. He was on the movie where they were searching for that. I can't remember what that weird show was called.
Finding Forrester.
No, Search
Finding Nemo?
Search Party. Search Party. He was the guy at the very end of the first season of Search Party.
The one that died. Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't want to watch that, I guess.
No,
Thanks.
it's not that good.
Okay, thanks.
Anyway, Office Space, but go ahead.
Yeah. So
never seen it.
So he was the only one that I felt was completely out of place. I don't know how you want to start this. I can tell you what my biggest issue was with the movie.
Well, let's just start here. Did you like the movie?
I gave it about a 6 out of 10.
So to me, that's a no. But again, we have different rating scales. We talked about this.
This is what I would say.
I would say a 6 is a no.
I watched it. It's not a high rewatchable movie for me at all. I'm not going to let it play in the background if I'm doing something else.
I think I would, and this is rare for me. I think I would rewatch this one because of all of the stuff, all of the cameos, what about you? Did you like the movie?
I liked it, but I don't like Ezra Miller. I didn't like his acting. Now, maybe, but let me say this. Maybe it's not a matter of he's not a good actor. Maybe it's, I just don't like that character. He's annoying to me.
But he's
the stoner character or?
Both. I mean,
Both.
honestly. But they were supposed to be annoying.
Okay,
and
well.
so if he made you feel annoyed, then he did it. To me, that means he did a good job acting.
But the problem is, like, I don't want any more of you. And I just
too much.
He just is annoying to me.
See, and what's funny is I'm the opposite. When I saw him in Justice League, right, I wanted more of him.
Okay, hold on.
Whoa.
No, I did too. I liked him in Justice League.
I agree with
that. But there
that.
was too much of him in this movie to me. It started off good. Like, I thought he was being funny in the very beginning, in that we tried to get us coffee or food or that sandwich. The guy was.
So spoiler alert, right?
What?
No, I'm just saying in general. Spoiler alert for this whole thing.
Yeah. In the beginning, I thought he was funny, but yes, when there became two of him, I was just like, I can't take him anymore.
So I think I agree with what you said. I just separate the two. Like, I'm not gonna say he did a bad acting job because I don't like the character.
Right.
So no, I agree. I don't like the character. He's annoying, kind of gets on my nerves. Blah blah blah. I feel like it was supposed to be that way. I feel like it was written that way, and but I feel like he pulled it off.
Yeah, it just didn't work for me because I just got tired of it, and I was like, okay. But generally speaking, I did like the movie. I don't have a lot of history with Flash. So there's a lot of stuff I don't really know, so I'm going.
He runs fast.
Right. So me going in.
Time travels.
But not as fast as Superman?
Which I have another beef with, but go ahead.
Okay.
So to me, this was like a B, 80 or 8.0 or whatever you want to call it.
Is that your official score?
Yeah. 8.14 actually.
Wow.
Now.
Wait, well, hold on.
Let me clarify though.
What score did I tell you on your show yesterday?
I think you said an 8.
Oh, really? I didn't see. I didn't watch it. I was with a friend.
Thanks.
No, I was with a friend, but
so was I. We were on the podcast.
Look, the real friends.
But let me clarify. Let me clarify my score. And y'all probably have a lot more to say than I do. But the reason the score is somewhat high for me is because when I think about, to me, the CGI and the cinematography and the writing, I thought it was pretty good. So the score ends up being higher, but I can still say at the end of the day, I'm kind of like, the movie in general, despite the score being high, it was okay. I would watch it again one more time.
Yeah, I would watch it again.
But that's it. I mean, but I also am like a Michael Keaton stan. Okay, that's my Batman.
Fair enough.
1989. Right. I was like, So there's a couple things going on there. But anyway, you guys probably have a lot more to say than I do.
And I think for Michael Keaton and seeing those cameos, that's what led me to a 6.
Yeah.
Right. But that shouldn't be the drive of the movie. Me wanting to watch a movie shouldn't be about all the ancillary characters.
No.
It should be about the main character.
I disagree. And this is why I would say I disagree, because that's how they promoted the movie to you.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But again,
all the commercials. It seemed from the commercials you would have thought it was a Batman movie.
Yeah.
So that's how they promoted it to
110%, which means
that's what they told you it was going to be.
Which means that when I get 40 minutes of The Flash, I'm already tired of watching it.
Yeah.
But it's also called The Flash. So
100%.
Yeah, but they knew they had to bring other stuff in there.
They had to, just because, unfortunately, because of the lead actors' issues, you had to do the supporting cast. And let me say, supporting cast, wonderful. Michael Keaton, Sasha Calle, being Supergirl, loved loved her. They need, like, they're doing a Supergirl movie. Please, please, please get her back.
Yeah.
Again, I don't care what people say. A little bit of representation. I'm cool with that. Right. So
I didn't know what she was. I knew she wasn't black.
She's Hispanic.
Right.
But bring her back.
I didn't know.
Bring her back. Not because she's Hispanic, but because she was actually really good in that movie. She was a good actress. Forget everything else about her. She acted well for what she was given. Michael Keaton acted superb for what he was given. Ezra Miller acted well for what he was given. All these characters, for what they were given, brought that movie over the 5.
Yeah.
For me.
And I actually liked the Ben Affleck interaction. I did.
I didn't.
I know you. I knew you wouldn't.
Ben Affleck in general was probably my biggest problem with the whole movie.
Really? I mean, it was so minor.
So one, you wait. Where we at?
Spoiler alert.
You had this situation where it's like, hey, come here, Batman. I got this dumbass idea that I'm gonna do, and he's like, yeah, don't do that. Well, you want to go get something to eat and just finish talking about it? No, don't do that. I'll talk to you later. And just like aren't you supposed to care that he might jack up everything, right? And then shouldn't you do something to stop him from doing that, or more something? No guidance, no nothing. Okay, now 2, and I think we already talked about this, but I'm bringing it up again on the show. Batman in the suit and a stupid voice. He gets in the suit. I'm COVID. Ooh, COVID. Right. And so he's on the motorcycle.
Oh, that's not the part I was talking about.
I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
He's on a motorcycle on the bridge, the big chase scene.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I'm going to get the bad guy. I'm on a motorcycle. No one can hear me talking.
But I'm still going to use my Batman voice.
And I'll get a call from the Flash. I'm talking to Flash while I'm riding my motorcycle. Flash, what do you want? Why are you still using the voice? He knows who you are.
You gotta stay in character. You'd hate to sit there. You'd hate to get off the bike,
so stupid.
Get the bad guy, and go, "Hey guys, where do you?" Oh, stop right there. Like, you don't want to just forget it, so you got to stay in character.
That was so stupid. So
my thing with him he just wasn't in it. Let's be realistic. Ben Affleck actually was on screen, not Batman, and I'm not talking about his version of Batman.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck playing Batman and Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne was probably on there for a total of 3 minutes.
Yeah.
1 minute to talk face to face with Wonder Woman and Flash, and then another 2 minutes to do the whole car scene.
Am I wrong to say I like this suit?
No, I like the suit.
Am I wrong to say I like this suit better than Michael Keaton's suit?
No, I don't think so, because the problem I had with Michael Keaton's suit is it bunched up. It looked like they took into account Keaton's age and realized he wasn't going to get into that tight outfit anymore. And if you look at that costume versus the costume that was for Batman 89, Batman 89's was snug.
Yeah.
There was a lot of bunch up on Michael Keaton's Batman costume.
I feel like it had a little shine to it.
Had a little shine to it.
That I didn't care for.
Yeah, it wasn't a black matte finish. It had a little shine. The other costume I had a big problem with, the Flash. What was wrong with the one from Justice League?
I don't even remember.
I mean, it was sensible and everything else. This costume, the Flash television show on CW has done that costume justice time and time and time again. And then they give us the one that's in the movie, and I'm just like, what is that? Like, again, it didn't look like it fit properly. And it just, compared to the one that they used in Justice League, it wasn't the same. It didn't have that same presence.
It wasn't worse than the Avengers getting an all-white suit.
No, and it wasn't worse than Captain America's suit in the first Avengers.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So what was your beef with the movie?
The script. They had a lot of material I felt that they needed to do that was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you didn't need to have 3 berries running around. First and foremost, yeah. I'm really big with that. I think, to your point, you're going to get a little tired of it. I think you didn't even necessarily need to have a evil Flash or even a Reverse Flash, even though that's the comic they're driving from, is from Flashpoint, where Reverse Flash was the main villain. My problem with this is, especially with the ending, love the cameos. I actually didn't bump up against the scenes where you had Christopher Reeve, Helen Slater, Nicolas Cage, actually getting there and being able to perform. And yes, he's a little de-aged, of course, but it's still Nick Cage.
Yeah.
I didn't bump into any of that, right? Because one, if they're on there and you got a beef with them saying, I can't believe they, desecrated the grave by doing computer imagery. You do know they had to go to the estates of each of those people to get that permission. And they said, how much money? Yes, you have our permission.
I thought it was cool. I mean,
Yeah.
It was an homage. It was an honor. I love that scene.
And I think it's just a situation where all this AI stuff, when it first was talking about as far as using their likeness, people who passed away, their likeness in movies, everybody was up in arms like, no, you just can't do that. But like you said, if
they got to go to the estates.
Right. If you get the permission, like, no, you shouldn't do that if you don't have proper permission, or if you do have the rights to it and you're being a crappy company and just taking advantage, like, that's not cool either to me. But if family said, yeah, go for it, then I don't have
zero problem with
zero problems with it.
But it became apparent, especially in the final act, where, and this was my biggest problem, the Flash killed a Kryptonian just like that at the very beginning. Ran his hand through his chest, killed him. But you're telling me they couldn't do that to all the rest of the Kryptonians during all that time and the supposed decades that the other Flash was going back and doing that? Not a single time. Do me a favor. Leave that shit out. Because you ruined that whole ending for me, because I kept wondering, why are they all dying if you could kill them just like that to begin with?
So you're saying the whole third of the movie was ruined because of one 30-second clip?
130 seconds.
So that whole last round
it was fun.
No,
it was all about Ray.
It was fun to watch.
It was all about
Hold
Ray.
On.
That whole last.
Hold on. It
That's
was
not what
fun.
he's saying.
It was fun to watch.
No. But no, you're talking about the logic that comes from what was shown.
Right.
In that. He's thinking
that
about.
Is right. There's that plot hole that they created of why didn't they go back to do that again?
So okay. So,
but the action scene. Let's get something straight. The action scene of them going around doing their thing, to what was it? The White Stripes, I think that was playing in the background. I love that. That was pretty cool.
So they take the one little 30-second scene out that you don't like.
No, it's not a scene. That's a plot hole. There is a difference.
It's one scene. Mm-hmm. It's one 30-second clip.
They
take it out.
Doesn't make the movie better.
Huh?
Doesn't make the movie better for me.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, because then again too, we're talking about the movie set up the premise that if you change one thing, that the butterfly effect for it could just be tremendous. Yet everyone who was looking for that can of tomatoes that he decided to move from the bottom shelf to the top shelf just affected all their lives too. Because again, it's the butterfly effect. So he still didn't learn a lesson.
Well, who cares about learning? It's not an episode of the Cosbys.
Well, it's not an episode about the Cosbys, but the point is...
And Batman didn't care if he learned a lesson.
But they did.
He wasn't there to help.
Well, they did, though.
And Ben Affleck.
Affleck did care, because the first thing he told him is, don't do that. You could save everyone, but you could also make everything worse. He knew from the get-go, don't do this, because it is going to have repercussions.
But I don't think the Flash learning a lesson was the point of the movie. I just don't think that's why
don't put it in the script.
I don't think that's why they made the movie.
Yeah, no, I agree, but then don't put it in the script though.
Well, I mean, that one scene though where you see like the evil Barry, and he realizes after he keeps trying, he realizes, I cannot save. I cannot change things. Like as far as like
as this situation. But that doesn't mean I can't change this situation.
Well, but I think he did learn a lesson. I mean.
That one did. So to your point, that Barry learned a lesson.
I don't think he learned.
I
don't think he learned a lesson. I think he finally came to grips with acceptance of this is not
how it has to be,
and this is just how it has to be. Yeah. So I don't think he learned a lesson. It's like, I accept this as it is. I can't change this. Not, I should never try to do this ever again in life. That's not what he learned.
Well, no, obviously not, because if you go to the scene, the end credit scene with Momoa. Right? The first thing he's telling him as he's coming out, he goes, you don't understand. He goes, every time I go back, meaning that he's going back again and again.
Yeah.
He's been trying again. Every time I go back, whoever Bruce Wayne is or whoever Batman is, it is always Bruce Wayne, but it's a different person every time. He specifically tells him that, which means he's going back and screwing up time and time and time again because he can't fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He can't get it back to where his father's innocent and he's come back to the natural order of things. Mm-hmm. So then take those scenes out. If you're not wanting to say that was a lesson that he was supposed to learn, because they talked about that a lot of times, like 3 or 4 times, whether it was Ben Affleck, whether it was Michael Keaton, whether it was himself, they kept bringing it up. I didn't bring it up. That needs to be the lesson he learns is not to go back in time. They keep bringing it up.
I don't think
that's what he
anybody
should have been
said you
doing.
need to learn this lesson.
Well, not to jack with time. That's kind of the underlying lesson that they had at a script level, which goes back to why I didn't care for the script.
I don't think it's you shouldn't jack with time. It's if you jack with time, this is what happens, and that is the movie they made. If you jack with time, this is what
I'll
happens.
accept that. I'll accept
Not you should never jack with time. It's just if you do, this is the consequences.
Well, but it's kind of implied it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it might not be a good idea.
I don't think it's
but,
implied. I think it's outright said.
Yeah.
No matter which Batman you're talking to, it's said.
Yeah,
Well, same thing with Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you cannot, if you start changing, it's going to change everything. Like, not in a good way.
Don't ruin Back to the Future for me.
So this is what I will say about the movie. It was a good movie.
Enough that you bought it. That impresses me.
Yeah.
Is that your first DC movie that you bought?
No.
Okay.
No. But what I will say is, I feel like it's the first one in a while, a long while. And what I will say is, it is to me, it is the best DC movie since Wonder Woman.
I wanted to feel about the Flash exactly how I felt walking out of Blue Beetle. I'll say that right now. So when you watch that, I can't wait to do a review with you.
So best DC movie since Wonder Woman. And I'm trying to remember specifics. There were some things I didn't like about Wonder Woman. I feel like I might even like this better than Wonder Woman.
Third act.
This might be the best DC movie since Man of Steel, and it just so happens to be same storyline from Man of Steel.
The exact.
Yeah, I was saying I did like their storyline. I did like that. And the ending, oh my God, when he talks to his mom, oh my God, that was
It as a parent, hard to watch. I think as anyone with a heart, hard to watch.
Yeah.
CW did it better. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't
But
seen
that doesn't
that.
mean this was bad.
No, I didn't say it was bad. I'm just saying the CW did it better on that particular scene.
I don't feel like in the history of CW they've done anything better in general. But that's just a personal beef with them. But anyway,
I would argue that the Flash first 3 seasons, anything after that's a crapshoot, and certainly anything from the last 2 or 3 seasons is unwatchable. But the first 3 seasons, I think that was a bigger issue for some of the audience too, who are the comic book fans, who are the hardcore, I want to watch DC or whatever. I think that is part of the issue with this movie is that the CW Flash did it better. And I would even argue that Grant Gustin is probably a better actor than Ezra Miller. Now, that's all open for interpretation. It's all opinion driven. I get that.
Well, one, I haven't seen the show, so I don't know who you're talking about or if they can act or if they can't act. But what I will say is, again, I'm not saying that you're saying it, but I feel like it's being implied. But just because something else is better, that doesn't mean that it's bad.
And like I said,
it does.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it does. That doesn't.
But I think
just like to me, Infinity War was better than Endgame. That doesn't mean Endgame was bad. Endgame had a lot of problems the first hour, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean Endgame was bad, and I would just say,
you should. You like that one better.
Just like it better. But I'm not.
But I'm not basing my feelings off the fact that I think the CW is better. I'm basing it off of what I saw. And again, I shouldn't. My favorite parts of this movie should not be coming from the ancillary characters. The main character should be the one driving that factor, and it's not here. And that's how I feel. I just feel that he's not driving it. Everyone else is.
So I feel the same way. I mean, I like the story. I like exactly what they wrote, like how all of this unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. Yeah, Ezra Miller gets on my nerves, but I liked everything else though. Like I don't have the same complaints because I don't have the same background and knowledge of the Flash, but I do like how they wrote this story.
Yeah. This is what I'll say. This is how I'll break it down. I'm just going to try to use some logic.
Don't do that. We don't do that here.
Because you keep talking about your feelings.
He didn't say feelings.
He said feelings like 3 or 4 times. And every time he said it, he looked at me.
Okay, well, go ahead. Go ahead with your logic.
So the logic here, Batman, your Batman.
My Batman.
Worth the price of admission just to see all the scenes that he is in.
In the Batcave. Oh my gosh.
The last fight scene that kept happening over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Worth the price of admission just to see that.
And I love Michael Shannon or whatever his name is. What he's on.
The scene where he saves everybody in the hospital, even though that's the first glimpse that I saw of some bad CGI.
Really bad CGI?
Yeah. So it's weird. And I'll get back to my logic, but it's weird. I wouldn't say overall the movie had bad CGI. But in the movie, there was bad CGI. Yeah. It was weird. So it just wasn't consistent across the whole movie as far as good CGI or bad. But there were some bad CGI scenes in that hospital scene. But that hospital scene alone was
I loved that scene.
worth the price of admission.
I thought it was
Supergirl.
Supergirl.
Every scene she was in,
She stole.
worth the price of admission. So it's just like I don't have any major glaring complaints with this movie.
Yeah.
I like this movie. It was a good movie. Like I said, one of the better DC movies.
So you're saying you'd recommend?
Hell yeah. I would recommend people watch this.
Yeah.
Because it was fun, it was serious, it was all of the things that your DC people keep telling me that all DC is. And I'm like, no, these other DC movies didn't quite pull it off for me. This one did, as far as like the whole range of there was funny moments, serious moments, there were sad moments, it had all of the range of everything in it, and it did it, and it pulled it off. The other DC movies try it, they fall short in a lot of those areas.
Now let me say this. I'm play a little devil's advocate with myself and with you as well. Probably right, Ann. Probably got a little bit of too much knowledge on the story they were taken from, knowing that it could have been better. Even the animated version of the story I felt was better. I didn't bump up against Ezra Miller and whatever, salacious issues that he may have had, right? Like, I'm not bumping up against that. But from a fan of the character, I think that's where I felt let down. I think your core characters, your 7 core characters from DC, I feel you have to always have them be better than what they're representing. To your point about Superman being able to see the Flash, I hate that fact. You have someone who is all powerful but can't go back in time, unless you count the 1978 Christopher Reeve movie. But then you have someone that's so fast he can travel through time, and yet you're telling me that Superman's fast enough to catch him? No, that should never be the case. You should never have Superman have the power to beat everybody. It should be strong enough that he's a threat to everyone. He can cause people's problems. But when it comes to the speed of the Flash, he should always be faster than Superman. So
2 things, and you're the comic book expert here, right? But 2 things. One, I forgot one. The cameo, the big cameo, the long cameo scene, worth the price of admission. Just for that long scene. Okay. But 2, I feel like even though his legs are moving, I feel like, for me, not having a knowledge of Flash like you do, I feel like there becomes a point where he's not running anymore. For when I've always heard Superman can run faster than the Flash. Once he gets to that certain point, he kind of turns into energy, and then you're just kind of moving through space-time. I don't feel like that's running anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe.
So I feel like that might be, and again, that's just me on the outside looking in. I have no clue. But in a foot race, I feel like that's where I always heard Superman can run faster than the Flash.
I will say this, and the longer I get from Smallville, the television show, the more I start to be less of a fan. But I will say the one thing that I loved about it is that their interpretation of the Flash was they were both fast, and he was just a little bit faster than Superman, right up until the point where he actually showed why he was the Flash. And there in a foot race, he goes, "I'll tell you what, if you can beat me to here," he goes, I'll come chill out with you for a little bit longer so we can talk." And he gets just to about to catching him, and the Flash, still running, turns around, starts running backwards, and just does this little nod to him, his little salute, and then actually takes off, actually starts running, and just leaves him in the dust. That, to me, has always been a good interpretation of the Flash, because his whole thing is about speed. It's about the Speed Force. Even here, it talked about the fact that where you're seeing all the cameos, that's happening in the Speed Force. Superman should not be able to catch up to him. Maybe that's the evolution of the character that I missed, right? That they're saying that he's now, because he's had more time as a Flash, he's not going to be on par with Superman when it comes to his speed. It's just that if Superman happens to thump him, that's it, right?
Well, I guess what's weird to me about the whole Superman thing is like I always did see Superman, and not just because of Death Battle. I always did see Superman more as like a Goku.
Yeah.
Like when the situation arises, he will find a way to overcome.
Yeah.
Right. I never really saw the Flash like that, but in this movie, it's like no, that is more Flash from his powers evolving. Because Flash is more like a god. Superman has got like powers, but he's just more like a real strong alien.
Yeah.
As opposed to Flash, it's like no, it's like you've become like a god. And I don't know DC as far as the, I know Marvel Omega level and things like that. I don't know if they have those type of levels in DC, but I'm just saying your powers and the way he can manipulate and evolve his powers is more godlike. And so it's just like the Flash is in this movie. The Flash is more like Goku than Superman would have ever been.
Yeah,
right.
It's not a bad analogy. It's not a bad comparison or thought. I don't think DC, having gone back and just remembering what I do, I don't think that's ever been the case. I think it's always been Superman's the strongest out of everyone, but when it comes to certain attributes, he's not necessarily the one.
I just feel like if it push came to shove and we're talking about a more experienced Barry, right?
Yeah.
I feel like he could find a way to kill Superman.
Which he did.
Well,
he found a way to kill the Kryptonians,
well,
and they didn't use it. They used it once.
Well, Superman.
Once.
Because the Kryptonian that you're talking about was just some little soldier on the side.
Yeah, but so what?
But that's a little different than killing Zod and Superman.
Catch up behind Zod.
Just saying.
You know?
That's different than killing Zod and Superman. I'm just saying. He killed the Putty Patrol in Power Rangers. He beat up on the gray men, but then when the real guy came, it's like, oh, now I got to do something different.
Yeah. But I will say this. You've taken me from a wobbly 6 to a solid 6. I'll give it a solid 6. Still
a 6. Still a failing grade.
Still a failing grade.
Still a failing grade in my book.
Well, and I think unfortunately what you're going to have to bear because you have more knowledge is you're going to spot things that like I wouldn't, And same thing with people who know really, they're real big on like sound. Like I can sit anywhere in the theater, I don't care. But like he cannot because he notices things.
Got to be in the middle center.
So if you don't really, if you're just kind of taking it for what it is, you're not going to spot those things.
Well, and to be fair, and to be completely fair, I probably, if I were to officially score this, and not just because I know that if I officially scored, it would be higher, but I think it would be higher just off default because I also, based off the trailers, I left the movie feeling slightly disappointed. I wanted a little more from the cameos. I wanted a little more from the cameos, more meaningful, something happening, right? And
then it's completely not a Flash movie.
Well, this wasn't a Flash movie. Just like,
no, that's true too.
Just like Civil War wasn't a Captain America movie.
Yeah.
Hell, it was more of an Iron Man movie. Yeah. If you
that one does rub me the wrong way on that.
But the expectation from what I saw with all the cameos and all the everything it could have been, as far as like you're opening up right universes here, right?
Should have been more like a Justice League 1.5.
Right. So even with that being said, I did go in with a little bit of more expectation. So I feel like if I just objectively sat down and just scored it, it would definitely be higher than an 8. Honestly,
how cool would it have been though, instead of just seeing those worlds colliding, if because he was time traveling in the spaghetti that Michael Keaton talks about in his Batman, if instead of just seeing it, he went through them and spent time in each one, which is originally what I thought he was going to do. Like he wasn't just going to go through it. He was going to spend a little time with those characters, even a minute a piece with the characters they provided, like that would have been fantastic because he's actually in that universe as he's trying to fix what he caused.
So I'm going to say one more thing and then we can start to try to wrap it up. In the beginning of the movie, there was a cameo, and somebody already said it earlier. But when that cameo happened, I was like, oh, Ray is going to love this movie. This is going to be Ray's favorite movie. Who was the cameo?
At the beginning of the movie?
Near the beginning of the movie.
Are you talking about Wonder Woman?
Talking about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's
not just Wonder Woman. They're not going to pull one over on me. I saw what they did. Did you see what they did in the movie?
No.
Did you see what they did?
What?
As far as Alfred, or what are you talking about?
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
What'd they do?
What'd they do? Did you see what they did?
Tell us.
I'm trying to see if he knows.
Yeah,
No, look
I'm
at
not.
his
I'm not
face.
getting it.
Oh, you just didn't see the what's the word? The upskirt showing
Shot.
of her
Oh, the ass shot?
ass.
Oh,
Like
I don't even remember.
yeah, I
I
mean
don't.
it was yeah, I was like, no, this is gonna
I
be
know.
Ray's favorite movie.
No, because I was still trying to get over the whole CGI from the hospital scene.
Oh, well yeah.
So I wasn't really.
No, it was just a whole scene where it's just like here are cheeks for you. And I was like, really? Like this is what we're doing? They really gonna bring back Michael Keaton, you're gonna show cheeks. Like they really trying to sell this movie.
So I did
So-
like.
So now, because you saw the movie twice,
I still didn't catch it either time.
now he's going to see it a third time.
I'm gonna have to see that opening scene a third time. I'm
There you
not
go.
sitting through the movie again.
There you go.
I did like that. So I liked the scene where he was talking to Ben Affleck, not on the motorcycle when he was talking to him, the brief conversation they had in his suit. And then I liked, obviously seeing Michael Keaton.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the very last scene with George Clooney. I was like, I don't know. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, no, it
It
was
was
cool.
a nice nod. It was
Yeah.
a nod. I chuckled. Like
yeah,
I was like,
what?
yeah, I chuckled.
Yeah.
But again, all that
It was dope.
all that taken away by the second end credit scene, or I guess that was the first. I don't even know what. I think it was only the one, but obviously it's not going to stick, right?
Yeah.
We all knew we weren't going to get Clooney Batman coming
Right.
up for Gunn's universe. So.
Right. I just thought it was cool to.
Yeah, it was.
No, that
it was cool. Like, and I think the movie,
And him dropping the F-bomb on that, like the total shock and surprise. Again, played it well. He acted it well. I'm not going to take that away from him.
All right.
So anyway, y'all ready to wrap this up? This has been an experience.
What's the time? What's the clock on this thing?
Well, you remember because we had to stop it.
Yeah.
So right now we're at 1 hour 35 minutes, but that's not including.
It's going to be a long show, regardless.
It's gonna be a long show.
It's gonna be a long show.
And I was talking about trying to chop up shows and make segments anyway. So I might have to do
You
that.
might have
with
to
this.
with
I might
this
just
one.
have to do that.
Yeah.
So let's get to the last thing. I hope it works. Let's get to our wrap up screen that looks just like this screen. All right. So what fancy here. So anyway, she ready to go. She got something she got to read. She's like,
Don't. But stop.
Don't cough.
See, you're gonna put it in my head.
All right.
It's mental.
Let's
It's
go. Let's
mental.
wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
All right. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening to ANX Gamecast. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we release new episodes. See you next week.
Deuces.
Be kind.
Slap them off.
Rewind.
Oh Lord.